Hello, I am Andrew Lash and I'll be taking you through this lesson on the OWASP AI Exchange, a global open resource focused on AI security and privacy. It's packed with over 200 pages of practical guidance and references to help organizations protect AI and data-driven systems from real-world threats. The project began in 2022, founded by Rob van der Veer, a leading contributor to global AI standards like ISO/EEC 5338. It started as the AI Security and Privacy Guide and later evolved into the AI Exchange to emphasize its collaborative nature. By March 2025, it had become an official OWASP flagship project, recognizing its major contribution to AI security worldwide. The Exchange is a key collaboration hub for experts and practitioners. It plays a big role in shaping international standards, including contributions to the EU AI Act and several ISO/IEC standards on AI security and privacy. In short, it's where the global AI security community comes together to agree on what good looks like. The OWASP AI Exchange is open source, meaning anyone can access and contribute to it. It organizes knowledge about AI threats, controls and best practices into a clear and evolving framework. It's not just about AI models either. It also covers broader data-centric systems like big data platforms and reporting tools, which face similar risks such as data poisoning, pipeline attacks, and data supply chain weaknesses. When we talk about security here, it's about protecting AI systems from unauthorized access, misuse, or manipulation, basically keeping models and data safe from being tampered with or misused. The overall mission is to make AI systems trustworthy by uniting the global community under a common set of standards and shared knowledge. All the content is openly available at owaspai.org and maintained through GitHub, so anyone can contribute improvements. It's updated constantly by a network of 70+ experts from research, industry, and government. Because it's released under a CC0 license, you can use it freely, no copyright or attribution required, although giving OWASP credit is always appreciated. The Exchange is designed for security and privacy professionals, engineers, testers, and even organizational leaders. Anyone involved in developing, governing, or using AI responsibly. Using the risk analysis section, users can quickly focus on the risks that matter to their own situation, whether it's a medical device powered by AI or a small company chatbot. Let's have a look at the structure of the OWASP AI webpage. Okay, so this is the landing page for the OWASP AI Exchange at owaspai.org. It's got a little video here that you can look at. It's about 3 minutes long. You can start here by clicking on this link that explains how to use the document. It shows some of the structure and some of the sponsors on the page. Most information I found that's valuable here is to actually go into the starting from the overview, this link here, and you'll see that there are these links here to different web pages with a number of resources relating to AI Exchange. And this video lesson will actually go through this first one, which is 0, that talks about the AI security overview, and further lessons will go into each of these other items here on this list. As I mentioned previously, this is also maintained through GitHub, and you can find that link here. I will include the link to the GitHub page and the OWASP AI Exchange page on the description, but you can see here that there is a number of folders that relate to the structure of the AI Exchange, and you're free to look at that in your own time. Now let's explore the two major OWASP projects that are shaping how we think about AI security today. There are two flagship OWASP projects leading the charge. One, the OWASP AI Exchange. This is the main framework that brings together everything about AI threats, controls, and best practices. It applies to all forms of AI, not just generative models, and also includes privacy guidance. The Exchange works closely with international standards like the EU AI Act and ISO/IEC standards, helping define what secure AI really means at a global level. And secondly, the OWASP Gen AI Security Project. This one zooms in on generative AI, especially large language models or LLMs. It features resources like the LLM Top 10, which highlights the most critical security risks for generative AI systems. If you're working to secure your AI or data-centric systems, start with the AI Exchange. It's your foundation. From there you'll find links to other helpful material, including the Gen AI security project when you need more specific insights. Want a quick overview of LLM security concerns? Then the LLM Top 10 gives you that snapshot. Just keep in mind, it's intentionally not exhaustive. For instance, prompt security isn't included because it focuses on the most significant risks first. The AI Exchange itself is a comprehensive living resource with over 200 pages of actionable advice. It covers every type of AI system, analytical, discriminative, generative, and heuristic, and provides practical ways to keep them safe. It's also a key contributor to global AI security and privacy standards, directly influencing international frameworks. Meanwhile, the Gen AI security project serves as an umbrella initiative, pulling together guides and tools like the LLM Security and Governance Checklist and the LLM Top 10. Another important effort is opencre.org, which catalogues common security requirements across standards. Soon, OpenCRE will also link AI security controls from the AI Exchange, helping professionals easily connect guidance from different frameworks. When comparing the AI Exchange with the Gen AI security project, the Exchange provides the following. It feeds straight into international standards, is about all AI and data-centric systems instead of just Gen AI, is delivered as a single resource instead of a collection of documents, is updated continuously instead of published at specific times, is focusing on a framework of threats, controls, and related practices, making it more technically oriented, whereas the Gen AI project covers a broader range of aspects. It also covers AI privacy and is offered completely free of copyright and attribution. Before we dive deeper, let's talk about why securing AI systems is so important and how we can actually do it in practice. Artificial intelligence brings massive opportunities, but it also introduces new risks and security threats that we can't ignore. That's why it's essential to approach AI with a clear understanding of what can go wrong and how to protect against it. Here's a simple roadmap for keeping AI systems secure. 1. Implement solid AI governance. Make sure there are clear rules, accountability, and oversight of how AI is developed and used. 2. Extend your existing security practices by including AI-specific threats, assets, and controls, many of which are detailed in the AI Exchange. 3. If you're developing or integrating AI, bring your data and AI engineers into your secure software development lifecycle. Apply the right process and technical controls once you understand the threats described in this framework. 4. Ensure that your AI suppliers and third parties are also following good security practices. 5. Limit potential impact by minimizing data exposure, reducing unnecessary privileges, and adding human oversight or guardrails where needed. The OWASP AI Exchange covers both heuristic and machine learning systems. That means when we say AI system, it could be anything from a large language model to a simple rule-based algorithm or even a statistical lookup table. Throughout the framework, it's always clear which types of threats and controls apply to which kind of AI systems, so you can focus on what matters most for your situation. Now that we've explored what the OWASP AI Exchange is, let's look at how you can actually use it and how it's organized. The AI Exchange is designed as a single, easy-to-navigate resource that shows you how to protect AI systems. It's all hosted on the OWASP AI website and divided across several pages, each focusing on a specific part of AI security and privacy. Here are some great ways to get started. If you want your AI system to be secure, begin with the risk analysis section. It will guide you through key questions to identify the threats relevant to your situation. From there, you can explore recommended controls to address those threats. If you want a big picture overview of threats, check out the AI threat model or the AI security matrix. These show you how different risks connect and let you click through the deeper guidance on how to mitigate them. To understand how controls map to threats, visit the controls overview or the periodic table of AI security controls. Both are great visual tools to see relationships between defenses and risks. If your goal is to test the security of an AI system, head over to the testing page for available tools and techniques. For insights into AI privacy, visit the dedicated privacy section. And if you are after further reading or training, the references section has curated materials and resources to help you deepen your understanding. Here's how the content is organized overall. 0. AI Security Overview. The main page summarizing key AI security concepts and topics, and the topic of this lesson. 1. General controls, such as AI governance. 2. Threats through use, like evasion or misuse attacks. 3. Development time threats, including data poisoning or insecure model training. 4. Runtime security threats, such as unsafe outputs or unauthorized model behavior. 5. AI security testing, methods and tools for testing AI resilience. 6. AI privacy, covering privacy risks, controls and considerations. And 7. References, supporting standards and additional learning materials. In the next lesson, we will explore a high-level overview of AI threats, several visual frameworks like the matrix, periodic table, and navigator, the risk analysis process for identifying relevant threats and controls, and other key topics like heuristic systems, responsible AI, generative AI, and copyright considerations. Let's break down how threats against AI systems actually happen, when they occur, what attackers are trying to achieve, and how those attacks can impact your system. In the AI Exchange, threats are grouped into 3 main types based on when they occur. 1. Development time threats. These happen when you are preparing data or training the model. A common example is data poisoning, where attackers corrupt or manipulate training data to change how a model behaves. 2. Use time threats. These occur when the model is being used to make predictions or generate outputs. Examples include prompt injection or evasion attacks, where attackers craft inputs designed to trick or bypass the model's intended logic. 3. Runtime threats. These target the system while it's in operation, but not necessarily during model use. For instance, someone might try to steal input data or interfere with a system that hosts or runs the model. Now, when it comes to impacts, AI attacks are generally tied to 6 types of harm, which map to 3 attacker goals, which are disclose, deceive, or disrupt. Here's how that looks. Disclose. Attacks that expose confidential information. 1. Breaching confidentiality of training or testing data. 2. Exposing model intellectual property, such as model parameters or how it was trained. 3. Revealing user input data that was meant to stay private. 4. Deceive. Attacks that alter the model's integrity, causing it to behave incorrectly and mislead users. 5. Disrupt. Attacks that undermine availability, making the model fail or behave unpredictably, not to trick users but simply to interrupt normal operations. There's also a 6th impact type that crosses categories: disrupt or disclose, targeting the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of assets that aren't specific to AI, such as servers, storage, or data pipelines. Each of these threats uses a different attack surface, meaning a different way to reach the target. For example, the confidentiality of training data might be compromised in 2 different ways. 1. By hacking into the training database during development, or 2. By using a membership inference attack, which cleverly checks if a specific person's data was part of the training set just by analyzing how the model responds. In the AI Exchange, this is shown visually in a diagram, which is what you can see on the screen. Arrows represent threats, and each arrow points to a specific impact, marked by letters matching the impact legend. So in the diagram, you can see at the top there are broken down into sections. So there's development time threats at the top, and there's runtime security threats at the bottom. You can also see that in the training data, there's a training data leak or training data poisoning as the threat. And you can see on the bottom right here, there's an impact legend. Now the T is for trained data confidentiality, which is impacted. B impacts the model behavior. P is the intellectual property. A impacts the availability, and L is the input confidentiality. So you can see here, as I mentioned before, training data threats are training data leak and training data poisoning, with the impacts associated with those threats. There is development time threats include development time model theft and model poisoning. There's threats through use, which include the threats of evasion, model theft, model inversion, data disclosure, membership inference, denial of model service, prompt injection, and as mentioned before, you can see the impacts in brackets associated with those threats. And we also have conventional security threats, such as bypassing model, access controls, compromising plugins, etc. Let's now talk about one of the most exciting and challenging developments in AI, which is agentic AI, where systems can take action instead of just giving answers. Agentic AI refers to systems that don't just analyze data or generate text. They can perform actions and sometimes even make autonomous decisions or interact with other AI agents. It's still AI, and all the same principles from the AI Exchange apply, but there are some new security considerations that come with this extra level of autonomy. Think of a network of voice assistants that can adjust your heating, send emails, or even invite other assistants into a group conversation. That's powerful, but also risky. You definitely want it to ask your permission before sending out 1,000 emails on your behalf. Let's look at 4 key properties of agentic AI. 1. Action. Agents can do more than respond. They can trigger real-world functions like sending messages or making API calls. This makes least model privilege critical. An agent should only have the permissions it truly needs. 2. Autonomy. Agents can trigger each other automatically. For example, receiving an email might cause one agent to generate a reply using Gen AI. This is where human oversight becomes vital and working memory becomes a potential attack surface since it stores an agent's current state. 3. Complexity. Agent behavior can be emergent, meaning that unpredictable patterns or interactions might appear even when they weren't programmed directly. 4. Multi-system environments. Agents often work across multiple tools, platforms, and interfaces. Developers sometimes rely on prompts or instructions to control access, which can open the door to prompt injection attacks that manipulate behavior. So what does all this mean for security? Hallucinations and prompt injections can alter or escalate commands, possibly leading to privileged escalation or other dangerous outcomes. Never give Gen AI models or agents direct access control. Instead, enforce permissions within your system architecture. The attack surface for agentic AI is wide, and the potential impact can be dangerous. That's why known controls from the AI Exchange become even more important here. Focus on securing inter-agent communication, like using the Model Context Protocol or MCP. Ensure traceability and memory integrity. Implement prompt injection defenses. Add rule-based guardrails. Maintain least privilege, and always include a human oversight. For more in-depth guidance, check the Agentic AI Threats and Mitigations section in the Gen AI Security Project. You can also explore the testing section, which covers Agentic AI Red Teaming, developed in collaboration with the Cloud Security Alliance, or CSA, and the OWASP AI Exchange. Now let's look at one of the most useful tools in the AI Exchange, the AI Security Matrix, which visually maps out AI threats and their potential impacts. The AI Security Matrix gives you a complete overview of all AI-related threats and risks, organized by type, such as development time, use time, and runtime, and by their impact on confidentiality, integrity, or availability. It's a quick, structured way to understand where your AI system might be most vulnerable and which controls you should prioritize. Each threat in the matrix is linked to a corresponding impact area, helping you connect real-world attack scenarios to their potential consequences, whether that's data exposure, model manipulation, or operational disruption. You can explore the matrix on the OWASP AI Exchange website at owaspai.org/go/AI Security Matrix. Once there, make sure you also check out the periodic table of AI security controls, which explains how specific defenses align with these threats and impacts. Together, the matrix and the periodic table provide a clear visual understanding of how to protect AI systems from end to end. In this diagram, you can see the assets that are covered, the impact to that asset, and the threat or risk category associated with each. For example, model behavior, the impact is on integrity, And you can see that there are threats related to direct prompt injection, indirect prompt injection, evasion, model poisoning and runtime, etc. And it carries on training data, which impacts confidentiality, model intellectual property, impacting confidentiality, model behavior, impacting availability, model input data, impacting confidentiality, and then there's also any assets which are impacting confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Now that we've seen how AI threats are mapped, let's look at how we can defend against them using the control groups outlined in the OWASP AI Exchange. The AI Exchange organizes all its security controls into groups and places them along the AI lifecycle, aligning each with the types of threats it helps to mitigate. Think of this as a structured step-by-step approach to building AI systems that are secure from design to deployment. These grouped controls form the core strategy for addressing AI security, and they're represented in yellow on the control overview diagram. Let's break them down. 1. AI governance. Start by embedding AI governance throughout your entire organization, not just as a checklist of security tasks, but as a holistic integration into your information security and software development lifecycle. This includes building an AI security program, ensuring secure development processes, maintaining compliance checklists, and providing ongoing security education for your teams. Controls include the following, which are specific to the AI Exchange, and we'll go into these in greater detail in future lessons. The AI program, sec program, dev program, sec dev program, check compliance, and sec educate. 2. Technical IT security controls. AI systems are still IT systems, so we must apply conventional security controls, but with a focus on AI-specific assets. 2A. Apply standard IT controls. Use established frameworks like ISO/IEC 27001, NIST SP 800-53, OWASP ASVS, and OpenCRE to secure both traditional and AI components. For example, development time, model and data storage, model and data supply chain, data science documentation are covered under the dev security, segregate data, supply chain manage, and discrete controls. During runtime for model storage, model use, plugins, and model input/output, reference the following controls: runtime model integrity, runtime model I/O integrity, runtime model confidentiality, model input confidentiality, encode model output, limit resources. 2B. Adapt IT controls for AI. Traditional controls often need to be tuned to AI environments. For instance, monitoring usage patterns or applying rate limits to model access. The controls are monitor use, model access control, and rate limit. 2C. Introduce new controls. Modern AI introduces unique risks requiring new defenses such as confidential computing or conf compute control, model obfuscation or the model obfuscation control, prompt input validation covered by the prompt input validation control, and input segregation covered by the input segregation control. 3. Data science security controls. AI security isn't just about IT, it's also about data science integrity. 3A. Development time controls. Protect the training process with measures like federated learning, continuous validation, unwanted bias testing, evasion robust model, poison robust model, train adversarial, train data distortion, adversarial robust distillation, model ensemble, more train data, small model, data quality control, and model alignment. 3B. Runtime controls to filter and detect attacks, using controls such as detect odd input, detect adversarial input, DOS input validation, input distortion, filter sensitive model output, and obscure confidence. 4. Data minimization. Reduce the potential damage of breaches by following the principle of data minimization. Limit how much data is stored, how long it's retained, and what types of data are collected in both development and production. Controls include data minimize, allowed data, short retain, and obfuscate training data. 5. Controlling model behavior. Finally, control how your model behaves, both to prevent unintended actions and to reduce the risk of manipulation. This includes oversight, transparency, and continuous validation to keep the model aligned with expected outcomes. Key controls are oversight, least model privilege, AI transparency, explainability, continuous validation, and unwanted bias testing. All of these control groups, from governance to behavior management, work together to create a layered defense model for AI systems. Each threat type in the AI Exchange is mapped to one or more of these controls, and the following sections explore them in greater detail. Now let's focus on a special area within AI security, protecting Gen AI systems during training or fine-tuning. This diagram highlights the threats and controls that apply specifically to Gen AI, especially in cases where an organization is training or fine-tuning its own model. It's important to note that this scenario is less common, since training or fine-tuning a large generative model requires significant cost, data, and technical expertise. Even though few organizations train generative models from scratch, understanding these risks is vital because the same principles apply when you're fine-tuning or customizing AI models for your own environment. Let's now look at a more common scenario when an organization uses a generative AI model as is without training or fine-tuning it. In this setup, the model provider, such as OpenAI, Anthropic, or another vendor, is responsible for the training and fine-tuning of the model. That means some risks like handling of sensitive data, copyrighted content, or potential manipulation at the provider level are outside the organization's direct control. However, this doesn't mean those risks can be ignored. Organizations that use the model must still understand these risks and obtain assurance from the provider about how they're being managed. In many cases, the model is hosted externally, often through an API. This setup means that much of your system's security depends on how the supplier manages and secures the environment, including data flow, network boundaries, and configuration. Here are some key security questions every organization should ask when using externally hosted models. 1. How is the API protected? 2. What runs inside your virtual private cloud or VPC? Is it just the API connection or the full model environment? 3. How is encryption key management handled? 4. What are the data retention policies? Are inputs or outputs stored, and for how long? 5. Is logging enabled, and what kind of data is logged? And 6. Does the model share any sensitive input data when connecting with third-party services or plugins? Even though the organization might not control the underlying AI infrastructure, it's still responsible for ensuring appropriate due diligence and risk management when integrating these external AI capabilities. Using a model as is doesn't remove accountability. It shifts the focus from technical control to vendor assurance, secure integration, and responsible data handling. Now let's explore one of the most visual and useful tools in the OWASP AI Exchange, the periodic table of AI security controls. The periodic table is a structured, at-a-glance reference that shows all the AI threats and the controls you can apply to defend against them. It's organized by asset, impact, and attack surface, making it easy to understand which controls apply to specific parts of an AI system and how they relate to the threats we've discussed. Each control in the table is linked directly to detailed explanations and examples within the AI Exchange website, so you can dive deeper into any area you're studying or working on. And just like with chemistry's periodic table, where every element has a place and a purpose, each AI control here fits into the broader structure of AI governance, technical protection, and data security. It's also important to remember that general governance controls such as secure development practices, compliance checks, and risk management apply across all AI threats. They form the foundation on which every other control builds. You can explore the AI security periodic table on the OWASP AI Exchange site at owaspai.org/go/periodic table. The periodic table connects AI threats to real-world controls, giving you a clear roadmap for building secure and trustworthy AI systems from the ground up. If we have a quick look here in this first asset impact, we're looking at model behavior, and the impact is integrity. Basically the same as what we saw in the table earlier, except this is now expanded to include the controls that are associated with each of these, and you can see that there is a link to each control. So for example, the first one, model behavior, is the asset, and the impact is related to integrity. We have the attack surface here, which is impacted, the threat and risk category, and the control. So if we wanted to look at this one, we could just link directly to this particular page. And this page is a continuation of the first page. So we've got training data, model behavior, model input, data, and any asset. Take the time to look at this table and get familiar with it, and click on the links with these controls. Now that we've covered the overview and key controls, let's move into one of the most valuable resources in the AI Exchange, the Threats and Controls Navigator. The Navigator diagram acts as a map for exploring all AI security threats and their corresponding controls. It visually outlines how threats connect to specific risks and how different types of controls are applied to mitigate them. Think of it as a roadmap that shows you where vulnerabilities exist and which defensive measures fit each scenario. By studying this structure, practitioners can clearly see how governance, technical, and data science controls work together throughout the AI lifecycle. If you want to explore this for yourself, the AI Exchange provides a downloadable version of the Threats and Controls Navigator. I'll provide a link in the description to the PDF. Just to go over the diagram a little bit, the top part of the PDF includes a legend. In green you have standard information security controls with attention points. In orange there are runtime data science controls. Yellow has development time data science controls, and blue are other controls. And there's also in purple you'll see that there is the impact on confidentiality, integrity, or availability. The items in the white are clickable links. You can see that there's a little paperclip that indicates that it is actually a clickable link, so it will take you to that section within the AI Exchange. And we can see that there are controls related to 4 areas: general controls against all threats, controls against threats through runtime use, controls against development time threats, and runtime application security threats. I'd encourage you to take some time to have a look through this navigator and get familiar with the layout and the links to the different controls that are available. Now that we've explored the structure of AI threats and controls, let's talk about how to apply them effectively through AI risk management. There are many threats and controls described throughout the AI Exchange, but their relevance and severity depend entirely on your use case, your architecture, and how AI is deployed within your environment. That's why every organization should perform a risk assessment to identify which threats apply, how serious they are, and who is responsible for managing each one. In most organizations, risks are grouped into key categories such as strategic, operational, financial, compliance, reputation, technology, and environmental, social, and governance, or ESG. A threat becomes a risk when it exploits a vulnerability. For example, an adversarial attack on an AI model could disrupt operations, distort financial predictions, or even cause regulatory non-compliance, affecting multiple risk domains at once. AI risk management usually falls under AI governance, supported by controls like AI program, and includes managing both risks posed by AI systems, for example, model misuse, ethical concerns, and risks to AI systems, for example, cyber attacks or data breaches. Security risk assessment, on the other hand, is handled through the Security Management System, or SEC program, which ensures that AI assets, threats, and controls are formally integrated into your organization's risk processes. Organizations often follow frameworks such as ISO 31000 or ISO 23894 for structured risk management. These frameworks guide the process through 4 main steps. 1. Identify risks. Recognize the potential threats that could affect your organization. For AI, you can start with the Threats Through Use section in the AI Exchange to identify where risks may arise. 2. Evaluate risks through likelihood and impact. Assess both the probability of a threat occurring and its potential consequences. The combination of these 2 factors determines risk severity, often shown in a heat map. You'll see this concept explained further in the sections that follow. 3. Treat risks. Decide how to respond using one or more of these strategies. Mitigate reduces the risk through controls or safeguards. Transfer shifts responsibility, for example, through insurance or vendor agreements. Avoid stops the activity that creates the risk. And accept acknowledges the risk and monitors it as part of normal operations. 4. Communicate and monitor risks. Share risk information regularly with stakeholders to keep everyone informed. This also means maintaining a risk register, a document that lists each risk, its severity, mitigation plan, ownership, and current status. Monitoring ensures that risk treatments remain effective over time. AI risk management connects technical controls to real-world business outcomes. By using frameworks like ISO 31000 and maintaining clear accountability, organizations can ensure that AI risks are identified, evaluated, treated, and continuously monitored, keeping both security and trustworthiness at the forefront. In this section, we'll explore the different types of risks that come from AI model behavior, including manipulation, data leakage, model theft, and other critical security challenges that every organization must understand. Unwanted model behavior happens when an AI system acts in ways that weren't intended. This could be due to malicious manipulation, inaccuracy like hallucinations, or bias that leads to unfair or discriminatory outcomes. Because these risks exist in every AI system, regardless of use case, organizations should always have the following controls in place. General governance controls, such as maintaining an up-to-date inventory of AI applications and ensuring accountability through documented oversight. And controls to limit impact, such as human oversight and review of AI decisions. If your system uses Gen AI, such as a large language model, several extra precautions apply. 1. Prevent prompt injection attacks. These happen when attackers manipulate input text to make the model behave harmfully or inappropriately. Usually this responsibility falls on the model provider, but you should test it yourself if assurances aren't available. Whether you accept the risk depends on your context and risk appetite. 2. Prevent indirect prompt injection. If your system automatically inserts untrusted data into prompts, for example from a resume or user document, validate and sanitize that data first. 3. Supplier and supply chain security. If training or fine-tuning is done by a supplier, verify their integrity to prevent model or data poisoning. Always source models from trustworthy providers and verify authenticity before deployment. 4. If you train or fine-tune models yourself, protect against development time poisoning, where malicious data or compromised pre-trained models can corrupt your system. 5. If you use Retrieval Augmented Generation, or RAG, secure the retrieval repository, ensuring no poisoned or manipulated data is stored or retrieved. 6. Prevent runtime model poisoning. Whether managed internally or by a supplier, protect running models from being modified in memory or during execution. 7. Evasion attacks. If your AI is used for judgment-based tasks like spam detection, protect against evasion where attackers modify inputs to fool the model. Assess the likelihood and impact to determine whether the risk can be accepted or must be mitigated. When evaluating model manipulation risks, always consider attacker motivation, such as sabotage, financial gain, reputation damage, or insider threats. Some risks may be acceptable, but others may justify stronger controls like enhanced data protection or adversarial training. Leaking training data. If you train or fine-tune models internally and the training data is sensitive, you must prevent the following. Model inversion, where attackers reconstruct private data from model outputs. Membership inference, where someone can detect whether an individual was part of the training data. Data leakage from engineering environments or through model responses. For RAG systems, apply the same controls to your retrieval database, since its content effectively becomes part of the model's knowledge base. If the model is externally provided, you rely on the supplier to manage data confidentiality. Always review licenses, warranties, and contractual terms, or consciously accept residual risk. Model theft. If your organization develops or fine-tunes models, treat them as intellectual property and protect against the following. Model theft during use or training, leaked source code or configurations, and runtime model extraction attacks, where an attacker reconstructs the model through repeated queries. Leaking input data. If your model processes sensitive input data, such as customer or employee information, ensure that it is minimized to what's necessary, encrypted during transmission and storage, and protected from logging or monitoring by the supplier's infrastructure. Remember, most cloud AI systems temporarily process unencrypted data within their environments. To reduce exposure, use secure configurations and where possible host your own models or apply strong contractual data protections. For RAG systems, treat any injected or retrieved content as input data since it can appear in model outputs and must be secured. Miscellaneous threats. 1. Insecure output handling. Prevent cases where model output, like text displayed on a web page, could contain malicious code such as JavaScript injection. 2. Model unavailability. Protect against denial of service attempts where attackers flood your system with large or repeated inputs. Finally, remember that AI systems are still software systems, so conventional application and operational security practices must be applied alongside AI-specific protections. AI security starts with understanding where risks come from in the model, the data, or the way it's used. By applying layered controls across governance, data management, model protection, and supplier assurance, organizations can reduce threats and maintain trustworthy AI operations. Now that we know how to identify AI risks, let's learn how to measure how serious they really are by assessing the likelihood and impact. To understand the severity of any AI risk, we combine two things: how likely it is to happen and how big the impact would be if it does. This balance helps us focus attention and resources where it matters most. The likelihood of an AI risk depends on both technical and contextual factors. For example, an AI system using complex algorithms or unverified public data faces higher exposure to attacks such as data poisoning or inference attacks. Let's look at a real-world example. A financial institution using AI to assess loan applications may rely on public credit score data. If attackers poison this data, say by inserting fake credit records, the model could make inaccurate loan decisions. This shows how data quality, source integrity, and security controls directly affect the likelihood of risk. Impact measures how severe the consequences would be if the threat succeeds. In AI systems, impacts can include data integrity loss, system downtime, regulatory penalties, reputation damage. Because AI often runs at scale and supports critical decisions, even one compromise can have serious effects. For instance, if an AI diagnostic tool in healthcare is attacked, it could misdiagnose patients, causing harm, loss of trust, and significant legal repercussions. Once likelihood and impact are assessed, we prioritize them. Organizations often use a risk heat map, a simple chart that shows risks as high, medium, or low based on their probability and impact. This visual tool helps leaders make informed decisions quickly, ensuring that high impact, high likelihood risks receive the most attention and strongest controls. AI risk analysis isn't just a technical checklist, it's a decision-making tool. By evaluating both likelihood and impact, organizations can clearly see which AI risks demand immediate action and which can be monitored over time. Now that we've learned how to identify and measure AI risks, let's talk about what to do with them through a process called risk treatment. Risk treatment means deciding how your organization will respond to identified risks. It involves selecting and applying measures to reduce, transfer, avoid, or accept those risks. Because AI systems come with unique vulnerabilities, like data poisoning, model theft, and adversarial attacks, effective risk treatment is vital to building secure, reliable, and trustworthy AI. Let's look at the four main approaches organizations use with examples from real AI scenarios. 1. Mitigation. Goal is to reduce the likelihood or impact of a risk. This is the most common approach for AI cybersecurity. As an example, strengthening data validation processes to detect and block poisoned or malicious data before it enters the model training. This helps prevent corrupted learning outcomes and ensures the model behaves as expected. 2. Transfer. Goal is to shift some or all of the risk to a third party. This can be done through insurance, outsourcing, or collaborative AI techniques such as federated learning. As an example, using a secure cloud provider for AI model hosting and storage, transferring part of the responsibility for data protection and infrastructure security. 3. Avoidance. The goal is to eliminate the risk entirely by changing course or deciding not to proceed. Sometimes it's better to not use AI in a particular area if the risk is too great or uncontrollable. As an example, choosing not to deploy an AI system that processes highly sensitive personal data because potential privacy risks outweigh the business benefits. 4. Acceptance. The goal is to acknowledge the risk and accept as is. This is chosen when the cost or complexity of treatment exceeds the potential impact. As an example, accepting the small possibility of model inversion attacks in a non-sensitive public chatbot, since the risk and impact are minimal. Every organization faces different levels of risk based on their AI maturity, data sensitivity, and threat landscape. The key is to make informed, documented decisions about which risks to mitigate, transfer, avoid, or accept, and to align those decisions with your overall AI governance and security strategy. Risk treatment turns analysis into action. By applying the right mix of mitigation, transfer, avoidance, and acceptance strategies, organizations can confidently manage AI threats and build systems that are both resilient and trustworthy. Managing risk isn't just about identifying and treating threats, it's also about keeping everyone informed and aligned. Let's talk about how organizations communicate and track AI risks. Once AI risks are identified and treated, it's essential to regularly share updates with key stakeholders like leadership teams, risk owners, and technical specialists. This keeps everyone aware of current challenges, decisions, and progress, ensuring ongoing support and accountability for AI risk management activities. The main tool for this is the Risk Register, a structured record that lists every identified risk, its severity, owner, treatment plan, and current status. It serves as the central reference point for monitoring progress and ensuring no risk is overlooked. Most large organizations already have an enterprise-wide risk register. When integrating AI-specific risks, it is crucial to do the following. 1. Align with existing enterprise vocabularies so that AI risks can be understood and compared alongside business, financial, or compliance risks. 2. Use consistent terminology and rating systems from your Enterprise Risk Management or ERM framework. 3. Document all AI risks clearly, including the chosen treatment strategy, whether it's mitigation, transfer, avoidance, or acceptance. This alignment ensures that AI risks don't sit in isolation. They become part of the organization's holistic risk management story, allowing decision makers to see how AI affects the bigger picture. A well-maintained risk register turns risk management into a living process. It helps organizations track, communicate, and continuously improve how they handle AI-related threats, keeping AI security aligned with business goals and governance standards. Who's responsible for AI risk? That's the next big question, because in today's complex AI ecosystems, accountability is really simple. For every AI threat you identify, it's critical to decide who owns it, meaning who is responsible for managing or mitigating that risk. Usually the organization that builds and deploys the AI system carries primary responsibility, but in many cases, building and deploying are done by different organizations, and that's where things can get tricky. For example, a company might develop its own AI model, deploy it through a cloud provider, and integrate it into a third-party platform. In such cases, responsibility is shared, and each organization must know which controls they are accountable for. If parts of your AI system are hosted externally, such as your model, extensions, or application, then you and the hosting provider share responsibility for securing them. To clarify these boundaries, use a responsibility matrix, a tool that maps out who is responsible, who is accountable, and who supports each control or mitigation activity. This helps prevent confusion about who should act if a risk materializes. Sometimes a supplier or cloud provider might not be transparent about how they handle certain risks, for example, how they protect model data or detect adversarial attacks. If this happens, you have three choices. 1. Accept the risk, acknowledging it as part of your exposure. 2. Mitigate the risk yourself by adding your own controls or monitoring. And 3. Avoid the risk by not using that provider or service at all. These decisions should align with your organization's risk appetite and AI governance framework. Responsibility in AI security is shared, but clarity is essential. By clearly assigning who owns each risk, documenting shared controls, and using tools like a responsibility matrix, Organizations can ensure accountability across the entire AI ecosystem. Even if your organization isn't responsible for every AI risk directly, you're still responsible for making sure others are doing their part. Let's look at how to verify external responsibilities. When certain AI security or privacy threats are managed by external organizations, such as your cloud provider, AI vendor, or third-party developer, you must verify that those partners are actually fulfilling their responsibilities. This process is about attaining assurance, confirming that the external party applies the right controls to manage the threats they are accountable for. You can achieve this assurance through methods such as 1. Regular audits. Request or perform formal security audits of your third-party providers. 2. Independent assessments. Use certified assessors to validate the provider's AI and data security practices. 3. Compliance reviews. Check alignment with standards such as ISO/IEC 27001, NIST, or the EU AI Act. 4. Service level agreements, or SLAs. Ensure contracts clearly define what security and privacy measures are required. As an example, let's say your organization uses a third-party company to host your AI model. You should regularly review their security reports, ensure they conduct vulnerability assessments, and confirm that controls for model protection, data encryption, and access management are effectively implemented. This not only protects your organization, but also demonstrates due diligence under governance frameworks and legal compliance standards. When sharing responsibility for AI risks, trust is good, but verification is essential. By auditing, reviewing, and documenting third-party controls, organizations can confidently ensure that external parties uphold the same level of AI security expected internally. Now that you've identified which AI threats apply to your system and who's responsible for them, the next step is action, selecting and fine-tuning the right controls. Once you've confirmed which threats are relevant to your AI use case, you'll need to review the associated controls. These controls fall into two main groups. 1. Specific controls listed under each threat or risk category, and 2. General governance controls which apply across all AI threats and environments. For each control, ask 3 questions. 1. What is its purpose and what risk does it reduce? 2. Is it worth implementing? Does the benefit outweigh the cost? 3. When should it be applied? Is this a quick win or a complex change? Start with high-risk threats and low-cost, high-impact controls. The easy wins are often called low-hanging fruit. This approach ensures momentum while building a solid baseline of AI security. AI controls aren't set and forget. They need to be tuned to match the context and risk level. For example, adjusting how much noise to add when anonymizing input data, or setting detection thresholds for identifying anomalies or model drift. These parameters directly influence both security strength and system performance, so testing is critical. Run simulations first, measure the outcomes, and refine until you find the right balance between accuracy and resilience. Control tuning should continue even after deployment, using insights from real-world feedback and incidents to keep your defenses sharp. Effective AI security isn't just choosing the right controls, it's about continuously refining them. By prioritizing high-risk areas, balancing cost and impact, and maintaining an ongoing cycle of tuning and testing, you create an adaptive AI defense posture that evolves with your system. No matter how strong your controls are, some level of risk always remains, and that's where residual risk acceptance comes in. After applying all the relevant AI security controls, there will still be some leftover risk. These are called residual risks. They represent what's left after you've done everything reasonably possible to mitigate threats. Residual risk acceptance means your organization formally acknowledges those remaining risks and decides that they are low enough to live with. In practice, this involves the following: documenting the remaining risks for each AI threat, assessing their severity based on likelihood and impact, and ensuring they don't pose significant harm to your business operations, customers, or reputation. The goal is simple. Any accepted risk should be so minor that even if it materializes, it won't disrupt your business or breach compliance obligations. Accepting residual risk isn't a passive step, it's a governance decision. Typically, senior management or the risk committee must sign off confirming the following: all practical controls have been applied, the remaining exposure is within the organization's risk appetite, and there's a plan for ongoing monitoring and review. This ensures accountability and keeps your AI risk posture transparent and defensible. Residual risk acceptance is not a sign of weakness, it's a mark of maturity. It means you have measured, managed, and documented your AI risk carefully, and you are confident that what remains is within safe limits for your organization. Once you've chosen your AI controls and accepted residual risks, your job isn't done. The real work begins with continuous monitoring and management. Managing AI security controls isn't a one-time setup, it's an ongoing process. This phase ensures that your selected controls remain effective, documented, and responsive to new threats or incidents. This ties into your broader security program as referenced in SEC program. Key components of control management include 1. Continuous monitoring. Regularly track AI model performance, data integrity, and system behavior to detect anomalies, drift, or potential attacks early. 2. Documentation. Keep detailed records of all controls, risk assessments, and updates for auditability and governance compliance. 3. Reporting. Provide regular updates to leadership or governance teams about the AI risk posture, control effectiveness, and incidents. 4. Incident response. Have a clear process for identifying, containing, and recovering from AI-related security or ethical incidents. These practices ensure your AI systems remain aligned with your security framework and evolving threat landscape. AI systems are dynamic. They learn, adapt, and interact with changing data environments. Without continuous oversight, even well-implemented controls can degrade over time. By maintaining visibility and feedback loops, organizations keep their AI systems trustworthy, compliant, and resilient. Effective AI risk management doesn't stop at implementation. It thrives on iteration. Continuous monitoring, documentation, and incident response form the backbone of sustainable AI governance and security. AI security isn't a one-time checklist, it's a living process. The risks evolve, and so should your defenses. Even after implementing controls and accepting residual risks, your organization must continuously assess AI-related risks. This ensures that new vulnerabilities, threat patterns, or system changes are identified and managed early. Continuous risk assessment means 1. Monitoring emerging threats. Stay alert to new AI-specific attacks, data leaks, or adversarial techniques. 2. Updating your risk management plan. Adjust existing controls or add new ones as your system, data, or external threat landscape changes. 3. Learning from incidents. Feed lessons from incident response back into the risk framework. This creates a feedback loop that strengthens your AI security posture. 4. Reassessing risk treatment decisions. Regularly re-evaluate whether certain accepted risks have grown in severity or need renewed mitigation. As an example, imagine your organization uses an AI model for fraud detection. Over time, attackers develop new evasion techniques. By continuously reviewing your risk treatment plan, you can adapt your model defenses, retrain with new data, and update controls, staying one step ahead. Continuous risk assessment transforms AI governance from reactive to proactive. By maintaining vigilance and adapting strategies, you ensure your AI systems remain secure, compliant, and resilient, even as the threat landscape evolves. AI isn't just about performance, it's about responsibility. A truly secure AI system must also be trustworthy. AI security exists within a larger ecosystem of responsible AI and trustworthy AI principles. While responsible AI focuses on ethics, fairness, and governance, trustworthy AI emphasizes technical robustness, transparency, and safety. For security professionals, the best approach is to start with AI security, then expand toward these broader areas, helping your team identify and prevent harm across all dimensions. Key principles and their connection to security. Accuracy means the AI performs its task correctly. How does this connect to security? Attacks that alter outputs like model poisoning reduce accuracy, so securing data and model integrity protects it. Safety means the AI does not cause harm. How does this connect to security? Security ensures model integrity and prevents unsafe or manipulated outputs, for example, adversarial prompts. Transparency means users know how the AI works and its limits. How does this connect to security? Shared responsibility with security helps detect manipulation and build user trust. Explainability means that AI's decisions can be understood. How does this connect to security? It supports incident investigation, accountability, and compliance with privacy and legal requirements. Robustness means that AI performs reliably even under attack or abnormal input. How does this connect to security? Security focuses on adversarial robustness, protecting the model from malicious inputs. Fairness or no discrimination means the AI treats groups equally. How does this connect to security? Bias monitoring can reveal data poisoning or model tampering, a key link between ethics and security. Empathy means recognizing human impact and ethical limits. How does this connect to security? Reminds us that not every AI system should be built, especially if it cannot be made safe. Accountability means being able to explain and justify AI actions. How does this connect to security? Security provides traceability, logs, audit trails, and evidence for decision making. AI security means protecting AI from attacks and misuse. How does this connect to security? It covers input attacks, model theft, poisoning, and runtime breaches, the foundations for all other principles. Responsible AI isn't separate from security, it builds upon it. By securing data, models, and processes, we create the foundation for ethical, safe, and transparent AI systems that earn user trust and meet compliance standards. Generative AI is transforming industries, but it's also transforming the threat landscape. Let's look at how these risks differ from a traditional AI. Generative AI, or Gen AI, the technology behind tools like ChatGPT, DALL-E, and Copilot, is leading today's AI revolution. But traditional predictive AI remains vital for many critical applications such as fraud detection, credit scoring, medical diagnosis, and industrial automation. From a security point of view, the threats to Gen AI and predictive AI are similar, but the risk levels and control priorities can differ. The following items are what are new in Gen AI threats. 1. Prompt injection. Attackers can craft hidden or malicious prompts to manipulate the model's output or make it perform unintended actions. 2. Sensitive data and prompts. Organizations may unintentionally send confidential data, like internal documents or PII, in prompts, creating exposure risks. 3. Harmful output and hallucinations. Gen AI can generate inaccurate, biased, or even dangerous outputs, sometimes with high confidence, leading to misinformation or unsafe automation. 4. Over-reliance. Users may trust model outputs too much, allowing manipulated responses to influence key decisions or automated actions. 5. Training time poisoning. Because Gen AI models are trained on massive public data sets, they are more susceptible to data poisoning or malicious insertions in the supply chain. 6. Agentic AI risks. Some Gen AI systems can trigger real-world actions, for example, sending emails or executing code. This expands the attack surface from simple text output to operational impact. 7. Copyright and sensitive data leakage. Outputs can unintentionally include copyrighted or private information drawn from training data. Generative AI introduces new dimensions of risk, especially around data handling, user interaction, and model autonomy. Security teams must adapt existing AI controls, such as data protection, supply chain management, and runtime monitoring, to account for Gen AI's unique characteristics. The table that's shown on the screen includes the generative AI security particularities. There's a description for each one, and there is a link to the corresponding OWASP LLM top 10 risk. So for example, number 1 is talking about prompt injection, and there's a reference to the OWASP LLM 01 prompt injection. Item 2 is related to sensitive data, and there's a link to LLM 02 related to sensitive information disclosure. I encourage you to have a look at the particularities included within the AI Exchange and have a look at the OWASP LLM top 10 to get familiar with these risks. And this is a continuation of the next set of items within the AI Exchange. AI and copyright. It's one of today's most complex and rapidly evolving legal frontiers. As AI systems learn from vast amounts of data, who really owns the output? AI and copyright, the legal challenge. AI-generated content exists in a legal grey zone. In most jurisdictions, including the US, AI outputs are not protected by copyright because they are not considered the product of a human author. However, human contributors, such as those who provide prompts, data, or training material, may retain rights to the original input. At the same time, using copyrighted works without permission in AI training may raise claims of infringement even when developers argue fair use. Copyright lawsuits. AI systems trained on massive datasets face significant intellectual property or IP risks. Copyrighted materials may enter training datasets without authorization. Compromised datasets can lead to legal exposure and reputational damage, and the boundary between inspiration and copying remains legally unsettled. Recent lawsuits include the following. Anthropic agreed to a $1.5 billion settlement in 2025 to resolve a class action lawsuit alleging copyright infringement from downloading pirated books to train its AI models. Also, Getty Images versus Stability AI and Artists versus Midjourney and DeviantArt show how serious these risks have become. AI-generated source code. AI tools that generate software code create new IP challenges. Who owns the copyright for code written by an AI model? Can that code be licensed or patented? And what if it reuses fragments of existing copyrighted code? A current case involving GitHub, OpenAI, and Microsoft Copilot highlights these questions and could reshape how AI-generated software is treated under copyright law. Vendor indemnification. Some AI providers now offer copyright indemnification protection for users if AI-generated content triggers a lawsuit. Microsoft Copilot copyright commitment covers users who follow specific usage and filtering rules. And Google Cloud Gen AI indemnification offers similar legal protections for enterprise users. These programs demonstrate that vendors are beginning to share legal responsibility, but users still must comply with their terms. Do AI models really copy existing work? Not exactly. Generative AI models don't store or retrieve specific works. They learn patterns and relationships from their training data to create new outputs. Occasionally, an output may resemble existing work, much like a musician unintentionally recreating a melody they once heard, but this isn't direct copying. Still, it remains a legally sensitive area, especially for high-value creative content like music, art, and code. Mitigating copyright risk. Organizations can reduce copyright-related exposure by implementing a layered strategy as follows. 1. Filter and monitor model outputs to prevent sensitive or copyrighted data leaks. 2. Conduct intellectual property or IP audits to identify and document all proprietary and licensed assets. 3. Establish clear AI IP policies aligned with current copyright and data laws. 4. Source training data ethically with proper licensing or public domain verification. 5. Define ownership of AI-generated materials in internal and external agreements. 6. Protect trade secrets through confidentiality protocols. 7. Train employees on AI-related IP responsibilities. 8. Monitor compliance and maintain active oversight systems. 9. Plan for infringement response with legal support ready if issues arise. And 10. Secure warranties and indemnities from AI suppliers to cover potential copyright claims. AI copyright challenges sit at the intersection of law, ethics, and technology. By embedding copyright, governance, and IP security into AI risk management, organizations can innovate responsibly, protecting both their assets and reputation. Thank you for joining me on this lesson on the overview of the AI Exchange. I look forward to you joining me in the next lesson, which covers general controls. Goodbye.